Many Occupy protests are focused on stopping rising tuition costs at universities and drastic cuts to funding for public schools, even if it means a citizen's arrest or two. In Washington state on Monday, thousands of protesters filled the hall at the state capitol and held a mock citizen's arrest of legislators looking to cut school funds despite a Superior Court ruling to the contrary, one that would prohibit those cuts. When no legislators were arrested, or while no legislators were arrested, a Seattle high school teacher named Jesse Hagopian, who helped lead that protest, was arrested.
We, the educators of Washington State! We, the educators of Washington State! Will not remain silent! Will not remain silent! While the state legislature cuts the funding to our schools! While the state legislature cuts the funding to our schools! It is immoral! It is immoral! And it is illegal! And it is illegal!
Afterwards, Mr. Hagopian released a statement that read, in part, "I was arrested today at the Capitol for protesting against the budget cuts. It is the Washington State Legislature that is breaking the law by failing their constitutional duty to fully fund education." Joining us now, Garfield High teacher Jesse Hagopian. Thank you for your time, sir.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Keith.
How did you get involved in this protest to begin with?
Well, I'm part of an organization called the Social Equality Educators, and we've been agitating around social justice issues and education funding for some time and trying to close the gap in education and many different issues. And when there was a court ruling that was handed down by a Washington court against the state of Washington in February for failing to fulfill their constitutional duty to fund education, we were really encouraged. We thought, finally, our schools are going to be funded, and we thought, wow, this is a turning point. We can have the class sizes we need. We can see schools reopened. We can see programs for black kids in our high schools reopen, and we thought this is going to be a moment to improve education. And then we heard Governor Gregoire opening this special legislative session in Olympia to cut $2 billion from the current budget. And that's $2 billion from health care and education. And we thought, well, someone's got to enforce this law. And if no one is going to do it, then I guess the teachers of Seattle and Washington State will have to stand up and do it.
As a history teacher, you will probably hate me for doing this, but I want to go out of chronology and jump directly to what happened today in response in the schools, in response to what happened Monday, specifically to what you were involved with. Just tell us what happened today.
Well, I should say that today a whole lot of students walked out of my high school, and it was one of the most amazing things, and probably I should say my proudest day ever, to see students who are inspired by the action that teachers took, and they took it upon themselves to organize. They created a flyer, a leaflet, bullet points about how the budget cuts have affected them, and hundreds of my students and students from around the Seattle schools marched down to City Hall to make their demand to fund the programs they deserve, talking about how the science programs have been cut so that seniors don't have 4 years of science and language anymore in our high schools because of these budget cuts. And so they were very articulate and passionate, and I'm really excited that there's a new phase in the movement here in Seattle.
How plugged in are your kids? I mean, we saw this when Europe made these draconian cuts on all of its school systems, particularly, and just doubled, in some cases trebled, tuition rates for colleges across the continent. The place exploded. That was the real turning point in Europe. Is there a sense that high school kids and college kids are fully aware in a way that maybe their parents aren't, or people who are not connected in any way are not? Are they plugged into everything that's going on with their futures because of these draconian cuts?
I think so. I think what you saw at Garfield High School today, walking out of school, is part of a worldwide wave of protests. You see it in Britain today, and you're seeing it around the world as the recessions and the Great Recession has impacted young people everywhere, and young people in Egypt were a spark to that revolution. And I think young people today know that even if they do graduate with high marks from high school, the tuition makes college out of reach. And so when I saw their action today, I can't tell you how inspired I was. I mean, one of my former students, when he found out I was arrested for taking